Letter B, April 20th, 1943. Cara Sorer, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. I was very glad to have your letter, and am very sorry to hear that you have been in affliction. About the delay, however, I think I ought to tell you that the original rule of the order of the AA was that the introducer read over a short section to the applicant, then leave them alone for a quarter of an hour, and on coming back, receive a yes or no. If there was any hesitation about it, the applicant was barred for life. The reason for the relaxation of the rule was that it was thought better to help people along in the early stages of the work, even if there was no hope of them turning out first class. But I should like you to realize that sooner or later, whether in this incarnation or another, it is put up to you to show perfect courage in face of the completely unknown, and the power of rapid and irrevocable decision without counting the cost. I think that it is altogether wrong to allow yourself to be worried by psychological, moral, and artistic problems. It is no good you starting anything of any kind unless you can see clearly into the simplicity of truth. All this humming and hawing about things is moral poison. What is the use of being a woman if you have not got an intuition, an instinct, enabling you to distinguish between the genuine and the sham? Your state of mind suggests to me that you must have been, in the past, under the influence of people who were always talking about things and never doing any real work. They kept on arguing all sorts of obscure philosophical points. That is all very well. But when you have succeeded in analyzing your reactions, you will understand that all this talk is just an excuse for not doing any serious work. I am confirmed in this judgment by your saying, I don't know if I want to enter into a great conflict. I need peace. Fortunately, you save yourself by adding, real peace, that is living and not stagnant. All life is conflict. Every breath that you draw represents a victory in the struggle of the whole universe. You can't have peace without perfect mastery of circumstance, and I take it that this is what you mean by living, not stagnant. But it is of the first consequence for you to summon up the resolution to stamp on the sea of swirling thoughts by an act of will. You must say, peace, be still. The moment you have understood these thoughts for what they are, tools of the enemy, invented by him with the idea of preventing you from undertaking the great work, the moment you dismiss all such considerations firmly and decisively and say, what must I do? And having discovered that, set to work to do it, allowing of no interruption, you will find that living peace which, as you seem to see, is a dynamic and not a static condition. There is quite a lot about this point in Little Essays Toward Truth, and also the book The Vision and the Voice. Your postscript made me smile. It is not a very good advertisement for the kind of people with whom you have been associated in the past. My own position is a very simple one. I obeyed the injunction to buy a perfectly black hen without haggling. I have spent over £100,000 of my inherited money on this work, and if I had 1,000 times that amount today, it would all go in the same direction. It is only when one is built in this way, to stand entirely aloof from all considerations of twopence, halfpenny, more or fourpence, halfpenny less, that one obtains perfect freedom on this plane of disc. All the serious orders of the world, or nearly all, begin by insisting that the aspirant should take a vow of poverty. A Buddhist bhikkhu, for example, can only own 9 objects: his 3 robes, begging bowl, a fan, toothbrush, and so on. The Hindu and Mohammedan orders have similar regulations, and so do all important orders of monkhood in Christianity. Our own order is the only exception of importance. And the reason for this is that it is much more difficult to retain one's purity if one is living in the world than if one simply cuts oneself off from it. It is far easier to achieve technical attainments if one is unhampered by any such considerations. These regulations operate as restrictions to one's usefulness in helping the world. There are terrible dangers, the worst dangers of all, associated with complete retirement. In my own personal judgment, moreover, I think that our own ideal of a natural life is much more wholesome. When you have found out a little about your past incarnations, you should be able to understand this clearly and simply. Love is the law, love under will, yours fraternally.